Okay, Miranda, how you doing? All right, let's go and take a look. I've got your compositions up right here. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, so in the first composition, we see that the requirement here, well, actually, first of all, let me just zoom out here. I want to take a look at the setup. It looked like you were successfully set up at 15 by 20 with 4 5 by 5 compositions centered in the middle of the layout with 1 inch space between all four. So you're set up pretty well. Good job there. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the first composition. Now, in the first design, there's no contrast in size or weight, and all hierarchy should be based on grouping, right? So you have that here. So basically what you're saying is that you've got 4 elements here that are all equal in hierarchy. So, and the reason I say this is because they're all presented at the same size, same weight, and there's no spacing. You've got good alignment, but there's no spacing here to create any additional levels of hierarchy. Now, what you could do here is you could enhance the hierarchy here a little bit just by adding a space right between 1970 Corvette Stingray and then moving this whole block down a little bit. That's going to create an additional level of hierarchy because at this point, in this case, you're telling the viewer, this is the main car and this is the features associated with the car. So that automatically adds a little bit of emphasis to the car itself, being that that is the main topic of the layout, right? So again, a little bit of extra space between the car and its features. And I think that will add to wonderful hierarchy there. Now in the second design, we want to add one new size and one new weight. So the one thing I'm seeing here is that we've got your new size and your new weight right there, but you've also got a couple other areas where you've added a new size and a new weight. Now, theoretically, you could just bold the type and increase the scale, and that would technically be adding a new size and a new weight. So you could do both in one fell swoop, so to speak, right? But that's okay. You don't have to do that. Now, one of the things I'm seeing in this composition here is that everything is jumbled up so close to the margins that it creates a very, very uncomfortable visual tension in that the type is right at the edge. Typically, we see a nice border. Though these are called margins, and we'll see a nice border, and then you can start, it acts as kind of like a buffer area, so it eliminates this tension of having the text right up to the edge of the page. So I would recommend adjusting your grid to allow for a nice little padded area outside the type area there too. Again, this is called a no print zone, and it's just too close to the edge. The other thing that we're seeing is there's no alignment here to speak of at all. Okay, so what you have here is you've got right aligned, then you have right aligned here, then you have center aligned here, then you have left aligned here. So everything is really, really inconsistent. You want to get some sort of consistency here. And then also you don't want to ever have one word on one line that resides alone unless it's an absolute must. And I don't think it is in this particular situation. I think this typographic setup is a little bit better, although I would not include a hyphen in such a small block of text. Okay, so in this particular, I'm going to show you some examples that are really going to help you in your second iteration. So let's just talk about this one being that I don't see a whole lot of hierarchy here. So in other words, when I look at this, I'm not being told exactly as a viewer where to look first, where to look second, where to look third, etc. And I'll show you a great example of hierarchy and right here. So this is really excellent hierarchy because this one is saying you're going to look here. Actually, this is really good too. And this is the second iteration. So you're going to look here first, okay, based on the weight. That's the heaviest thing on the page. And so you're going to look here first. Then you're going to look over here because this is the next largest. And then you're going to group these together. So this has good hierarchy, although I do think this alignment is a little weird. I would have gone in and right aligned all of that, but that points to good hierarchy. So does this. There's no question that the designer wants you to look here first, then look here, then look at this area. So we really, really want to incorporate that type of hierarchy into your visual compositions. And remember, take a look at your work and say, okay, if I was a viewer, where would I be expected to look first? Okay, this one is requiring multiple contrasts and weight and scale, which you have here, but again, we don't have a whole lot of alignment at all. Do you remember the assignments for our kerning, our fire and ice examples? Remember we had what were called saccadic movements. And saccadic movements are the way the eye jumps through a composition. The less saccadic movements, the more effective the composition is going to be, simply because it's going to be more comfortable. We can see a good example here, whereas right now the viewer is asked to start here and just work right down the line. So the viewer will enter right here and just go right down the line, right? Here, you're asking the viewer to start here, then jump over here, then jump over here, then jump down here, then jump over here. So what's more comfortable? Watch my cursor. This or this? See what I'm saying? See all those different kind of movements? Those are all uncomfortable to the viewer. So you really want to apply some good alignment here. And again, I'll show you some great examples that will really help you out. Now in the fourth design, you want multiple contrast in weight and scale. But again, we don't have a whole lot of alignment associated here. Also, this assignment is required to be submitted in grayscale. That's black and white, right? So you'll have to convert that. I think the car could be a lot more interesting if it were larger in the composition, maybe a more interesting crop. But again, you got your type right at the corner of the page, and then you have a lot of saccadic movement. So we go from here to here, then over to here, down here, over here, down to the middle, down here, over to the right. Then you have this crazy diagonal right here. So I don't think this is a very comfortable visual composition, and I think it can definitely be enhanced with a little bit more consistency and alignment and placement. Okay, now at this point, I want to draw your attention to page, well, actually, the page in the lecture this is the week 3 presentation, structure and space, and this is you've got to read through this whole thing. Read through it twice or 3 times. It's a great lecture, but it gets really important. It pertains to this assignment when we get down to about the middle of the lecture, specifically right here after this resume. Take a look at the resume and read through this, especially take a look at this and then this alignment and grids part of the lecture down here. This is from page 101 in the textbook. The textbook that this is from is edition 6. I'm not real sure what edition 7 has. I believe you have edition 7 for the book. It might not be page 101, but you're just going to look for this section called Visual Hierarchy, and it's this modern Hispanic poetry example. There's 9 of these in the book, in the series in the book, but they only show 6 in this visual right here. So you definitely want to take a look at that. And again, it's page 101 in my book. I'm sure it was probably around somewhere near the same area in your book. But again, that's that modern Hispanic poetry example that's in the visual hierarchy portion of the book. Then to take a look at that and read through that shows you exactly how to do this assignment. And then you want to go to the announcements area. And again, this is just the Welcome to Week 3 announcement. And I've got this fantastic visual example here, a visual lecture of establishing hierarchy. It's called Type Study Typographic Hierarchy. And this is probably the best example I've ever seen in establishing hierarchy, because it goes you through step by step and how to make separations, how to place things based on proximity, based on their relationship to each other, how to establish hierarchy by establishing contrasts based on weight, scale, and in this case, color, and really, really does a great job of establishing alignment as well. So you definitely want to take a look at these 2 examples, this example and then the other example from the textbook. And I think that once you go through those a couple of times, this assignment is going to become so much more clear. So go ahead and apply those recommendations from the lectures, also as well as the recommendations from this video, and be sure to apply those for your final iteration due this Sunday. And of course, please let me know if you have any questions at all. Okay, great start. Thank you so much for sharing.